I don't know, but maybe you can tell me, was my remark after Danielle asked why I had just ruined her life. On one hand, I did not believe her life was ruined. On the other hand, she was into pieces at my fingertips, and I couldn't let her just settle. You see, Danielle was a woman that many modern people would refer to as a bitch. However, I loved to give her the benefit of the doubt and call her wench. Now, that wouldn't be so bad if she weren't in high-class society. I had just committed a crime to New York, to the United States of America, to the world. Not only had I jumped into the forbidden world of homosexuality, I had done it while stealing the wench's man. The fact that I had once again gotten what I wanted and rightfully deserved made me unstoppable. In the 1920s, F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote the novel The Great Gatsby. This novel explored themes of love and corruption in a high-class society. In this piece, Jake Hedrick finds himself the victim of multiple 1920 standards, and for the first time falls from his righteousness. Tightrope. Rolling back 1 month and 2 days, we arrive at my success. I am, of course, talking about my business success. I had just opened a factory to produce Ford cars. In this day and age, if you did not have one of these, you were a nobody. That was exactly what Danielle was in my mind, an absolute nobody. You see, I had been born into high-class society and worked my way to the top. But she had been born into high-class leisure and stay. It was at a highly regarded party that I met Richard and Danielle. Both seemed to be privy and savvy people at the time, but neither could measure up to me from the beginning. This was the beginning of a spiral of things. One party went by, and with my connection at Ford, I had become a regular at the Fertig Mansion in Long Island. They always kept important people around, and I had just become their #1 selection. One day these Negroes are going to face their audacity, spluttered out Danielle in a day conversation. Naturally, I knew who I was. I was a little irritated at the comment, so I fired back. As will you, dear, glistening into the room as a comment should. I will never forget the look on that wench's face. How dare I? This was the beginning of a spark between the Fertigs and I. 2 different sparks, I should say. 2 weeks pass, and I become closer to Richard, because if I didn't, it would seem like I'd be stealing his wife. This is when the trouble begins brewing. We went out to a club behind the closed doors and had lunch with the underground important people. On separate occasions in this week, glances and touches that were subtle of a peculiar way would come about. Have you ever thought about the Romans? The Romans, a time where sexuality was expressed in all ways, a lavish lifestyle filled with entertainment and glory. I consider myself a follower of the Romans in terms of lifestyle. We clinked glasses, and it was like the agreement of something new. Something America had kept hidden underground, but had risen itself up a little bit. The first night began inside of one of those Fords out in a remote area. We just began doing what a married man and woman would do, but it didn't faze me. After, it was all natural to arrive home and just be filled with joy. The second night began inside of a hotel. it was better than the first. Arriving home, I felt a sort of routine would begin. The third night was the night of climax. Inside the Fertig home, we did what was forbidden. In heat of the moment, the doors opened and in came Danielle Fertig. I would imagine the reaction of any woman at the time would have been crushing to the soul. We duked it out into the night. How could this happen? Well, let me begin by saying your marriage is a joke. Your husband doesn't love you, and you have no decency in any world. She forbid me from entering her home ever again. Imagine that, a woman telling a man what to do. She had leverage on both of us due to the circumstances. It was at this moment that I began feeling guilty for who I was and what I had done. It was not right. It was not right. It was not right. 7 days pass, and I return to the Fertig home. I knock on that door, and Danielle Fertig opens it and even invites me inside. I sit down, have a glass of champagne. Prior to my visit, Richard had been found in a bedroom, hanging from the ceiling in a tightrope. My guilt grew, but Danielle was not going to get the best of me. And so we had our little conversation. And when she threatened me, I ran. I live with guilt for who I am and for what I've done outside of any life and reason. But in Chicago, Danielle Fertig can't get